Because it's slopping around the load, that doesn't make the grip very good. But what I tend to say about when you're watching someone doing it, he or she, I think it's a he actually, it's she, it's pretty controlled in the way they're doing it. And what I tend to think is, if she was uncontrolled or she had a poor grip on the load, she'd be trying to grab it and things like that, or he would. Anything wrong with the floor? Yeah, fair enough. And the other environmental fact as well, it's pretty cold in there, so I think that's an amber or whatever it is, I can't remember now. So, okay, you've done your assessments. Can anyone think, and I've got two different things which we asked the company, well, with what the company done, we went back to have a look. Anyone think of any ways how to improve that? Yeah, alright. I will show you, I'm going to have to show you the backside again now, I do apologise. Right, this is the first one they done, which really I wasn't so happy with. And you'll see why. What they done, they attached it to the end of like a forklift. Did everyone see that? Without having to like expose myself again over there. So that's what they come up with in the first instance. Now, alright, yeah, you've eliminated the manual handling, but I can see other risks there. You know, sort of like someone walking along, minding his own business, and then a cheese machine coming down on top of them, or the things dropping out or something like that. So, alright, fair enough, get back to manual handling. No, there's the other solution you come up with, and I think to remember this was done in-house, and it was done by the engineers who worked there, and I think it cost them £2,000 to do. Now, okay, fair enough, they do have to load the things into the racking in the first instance, and you have got slight entrapment risks, which I did think about, but it's a damn sight better than that poor fella who drinks alone every night in the pub on his own because he stinks, having to turn that cheese every night, so every day. So basically all they do is turn it round, and on the top ones you're wondering about what to do about the top level racking ones. So we said, well, you could use a hook or something to pull it down rather than clambering up and do it.
So I guess the pressure's on me is to be not too long and not too boring with it being the last one. I'll try my best. My name's Nadia Iqbal, I'm a chartered physiotherapist. I work with the Bradford Physiotherapy Clinic, and I'm here to talk about rehabilitation and exercise and the effect it has to help people with an early return to work. So, first of all, time for a break right at the beginning. Not for your mind, give that a bit of a break, but for your body. So if everyone wants to have a stand up, make yourself a bit of room. It's a good time in the afternoon when you have that lull after lunch as well. And you start off with just a gentle walking. If anyone has any particular injuries or problems or any of this is uncomfortable for you, just sit down, have a break. And I'm just going to get warmed up for the start. There's some poor efforts in the corner over there. And we'll put a bit more into it, really lifting those knees, a bit of hand to knee. Really getting those muscles going. And with that, keep marching on the spot. Sitting up nice and straight, get some knee lifting. Nice stretch, a bit hard with these tight trains. Talk about first what happens now, and then what should be happening. So what happens at the moment? People have this pain, don't tend to voice it. Any good employee just wants to get the job done. Yes, something's twinging, they'll ignore it. They want to get the job done, they want to get home. So the problem's not voiced. Also, busy days, people don't recognise the problems. They've got so much else on their mind. They might not recognise the pain, they might not recognise someone else in awkward positions like that poor cheese man. His boss probably has loads on and wouldn't think about the problems that can come from that. And then sometimes when the problem is recognised, it's ignored, not thought of as important. And because of that, poor people get ongoing pain, and if they're off work with it and nothing's done about it, ongoing absence. That's where the costs come in. And just a huge vicious circle of ongoing problems. And that of course means staying off work for a lot longer, and that can change a lot of things. And these are some of the complaints I get from a lot of patients. but I find sometimes my role is more of a counsellor than a physiotherapist. I seem to be the only person that has that 20-minute slot to listen to anything. And they talk about how their routines changed, and how their mobility's changed. Confidence levels, surprisingly. You don't have that daily social interaction with people, you're not challenged to do things. Attitudes change, and your contacts. A lot of people feel isolated, left behind by employers, left out by colleagues. They're not involved in that daily interaction. And if that is severe, it leads to long-term absence, and that has a life-changing impact. We get this vicious circle, starting with anxiety, leading to sleeping problems, person's not coping, increased pain leads to more anxiety, and they get stuck in this vicious circle. And in the middle there, we've popped chronic pain. The number of patients that I have who come back after 2 or 3 years with the same problem, ongoing for 30, 40 years, and it's shocking how many of them haven't worked for those 30, 40 years because of this chronic pain. And within that, we've got worries about employment, general health worries, work cover worries, medication worries, family relationship worries, financial worries, and those stressful doctor and hospital visits and lack of employment. So that's all going round in that person's head while they're going off work, making it a lot harder for them to get back on their own. And then looking more at the pain side of things without rehabilitation, I've got another nice little vicious circle diagram. Starting with the pain, leads to more muscle tension, pressure on the nerves, reduced circulation. You get the muscle shortening, the stiffness, and then restricted movement. We spoke about range of movement. And you get these trigger points. A lot of people here perhaps find at the end of a hard day, you get those tight knots, especially up here, perhaps down at your back. That's all these little pockets of irritated waist. That causes you more pain. So even with only a slight musculoskeletal problem, getting stuck in this circle causes a lot more pain and stress. So what should be happening? I'll just talk about the government white paper called Choosing Health. And it identifies improving workplace as a priority, and that's what's kind of been drilled in from today's seminar. And that's hardly surprising when most adults spend most of their lives at work. It should be a priority of us. All of us spend most of our days at work. Sickness absence cost, I don't know if you've heard any figures today, one that I've pulled out is that it costs a country up to £30 billion a year. And a huge proportion of that is the musculoskeletal disorders. I think that's outranked by anxiety, depression, and stress, but that can come as a secondary as well. So you can have your musculoskeletal disorder, and if we think back to the vicious circles there, that can cause you stress and anxiety, or it's the stress and anxiety that then brings on your musculoskeletal disorders. And studies have also shown that the longer the absence, the less likely a successful return. If I just break down that £30 billion to one individual example, that's a big number just to throw out. A patient of mine was a teacher who'd been off for several weeks before she decided to do something about the pain she was having. I think she was off for about 3 weeks before she came to see me. And she told me that to substitute her, the substitute teacher, cost the school £200 a day. £200 a year, that's cheap. £200 a day. So if you think about how much physiotherapy costs, even private, it's a fraction of that. So an employee or the state or the council paying for a physiotherapist instead of paying for that substitute teacher just makes a bit more sense in my head. And you don't even need the physiotherapy every day. So that's where we come in then to try and make a difference. And what the employee needs to know is that they have several lines to get to physiotherapy. First, you go to your line manager. You can go to occupational health, or you can just go to your own GP. Bradford Physiotherapy Clinic, we do a fast track service for the council. It's the things that are being put into place from a lot of physiotherapy clinics. And what